News, traffic, weather, sports. 610 WTVN.
It's 7 minutes after 3 o'clock at 610 WTVN. John Corby, you may have heard, I guess more lately than normal, about preppers, mainly probably because of the cable TV show Doomsday Preppers, and talk about that. And I actually saw a commercial for it this morning. And our guest is the author of Emergency Preppiung, Simple Disaster Preparedness for the Modern Family, Anthony Kovic. And Mr. Kovic, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me on, John. It's great.
Yeah, and you're an authority on disaster preparation. How does one become that? Yeah.
It becomes that I lived in Florida since the late 90s, where we've had hurricane after hurricane, and we had to prepare, and we had to be ready for stuff and have the services that you're not going to get stuck with no food, no power, nothing. So we've had that problem.
Yeah. It seems a lot of people, and I guess I'm probably as guilty as anybody of this, but you don't think it's ever going to happen to you. And then the other type of person would be, well, the government will come in and take care of me. And both of those are probably wrong ways to look at things.
That is correct. The government can and will be there to take care of you in the long run. But for the 3 to 10 days, you need to really be prepared and have food stocks, water, and fuel in order to eat. So this way, you don't have to run out into the disaster zone when you're hungry and there's violence and who knows what else is out there. You don't know what's out there until the authorities clean up the mess.
Yeah, well, here in Columbus, we've had a couple in the past few years. We had a tremendous ice storm. We had some people without power for up to 2 weeks, and also Hurricane Ike blew through here and knocked out power for days. And actually, just lately, we had one of those derechos blow through here last year, and power was out again. So it seems like power out being the major thing. What should people do that's reasonable to be ready for something like this?
One, the simple, reasonable things you should have is enough canned food available. Soups are the best canned food you can have. It lasts for several years in a row, and you can always have it. You can eat canned food even out of the can cold.
Sure.
So, two, you can have the little sterno stoves, the stoves that are light up. You've seen them at hotels and other places to warm food up.
Yeah.
They make this little, sterno makes this very nice little tiny portable stove that you can put one sterno underneath it, put a frying pan, you can cook your eggs, you can warm up your soup, you can do a lot of stuff for next to nothing. Then you have your butane stoves. Those are even a little bit more expensive, but very simple to maintain. You throw in a bottle of butane fuel, which is it looks like a bottle of hairspray, a can of hairspray. You're ready to roll.
Okay, and water. If somebody wants, say you either buy water or just save water in your own containers, how long will that last before you have to rotate it?
Well, I recommend that you have bottled water basically just sitting in the house or a few gallons.
Okay.
What I tell people to have is the 5-gallon jugs. So when you hear a storm is coming or a storm is imminent or something's happening, you fill a few 4 or 5-gallon bottles of water, and you have 15, 20 gallons of water ready to roll, fresh, that you just filled in just a few days ago.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, and I'll give you an example. They shut down the water in our apartment complex, condo complex, to replace a boiler last week, and we just filled our bathtubs up to use for sanitation. That seemed to work fine, because that's another big problem if you don't have water.
Exactly. But bottled water in the 5-gallon jugs, they're easy to keep. You keep them empty so you don't have to lug them around and they sit there stale. You fill them up when you need them. So storm is coming, you have 4 or 5 of them ready to roll, you fill them up, you're done. You're good to go. You could use it for drinking. You can use it for sanitation by filling up your toilet with water and flush it out.
Yeah.
So you have that. I mean, you don't want to drink out of your tub.
No, not at all. Talking to Anthony Kovic, who's the author of Authority on Disaster Preparation, his book, Emergency Preppiung, Simple Disaster Preparedness for the Modern Family. What else do people need necessarily? How about in-home lighting? What do you recommend for that?
What I recommend for in-home lighting. One is very simple LED lighting.
Okay.
Two, you get those, those computer backup units, the battery backup units for your computer. Those things work very well with low wattage LED lighting. One of those, depending on the size of the unit, you could run all day, all night pretty much with those units without having to use candles that can cause fires.
Right.
Most accidents happen because people don't know how to use flame equipment, like a candle or a butane lamp, anything like that has a flame. You have potential for fire. You really must know how to use that equipment.
Are there any other products? Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Now, then you have those things will light up. You can use it to light up your fluorescent bulbs in the house, so you have little lamps, and you have normal lighting in the house. Two, it'll charge your iPhones. You'll charge your cellular phones and iPads to keep in touch with your communications, because that's an important thing where when the power goes out, people need to communicate.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Are there any other products out there that you've seen that people might want to consider having in case, disaster strikes? Anything you've seen innovative?
Oh, yes. There's so many products like that. One, you have the solar-powered freezers. Then you have solar-powered refrigerators.
Okay.
Then you have... Those things work really well. They even have solar-powered air conditioners. So if you're in a zone where your power goes out on a regular basis and you're in a hot weather type climate,
right?
You got issues. Those are the kind of things that make being out of power difficult. Then you have your water filters. Today's water filters are near military grade, where you can pretty much use puddled water in the street, in dirt, and you'll be able to suck up the water and clean it to, drinkable standards. And that technology has come down to the consumer level where you can purchase these items at reasonable prices.
Yeah. Yeah, those things are pretty amazing.
Exactly. Then you have for areas that are inside the zones of hurricanes, tornadoes, that kind of disaster zones, some people have fallout shelters or basements, but there are areas that have a high water table. You're stuck. What do? You can order a steel cage pyramid that they will drop off on your lawn. That would be a disaster zone, escape place where you can run into this pyramid, and it's all solid steel. It's anchored down, and it's even designed to withstand extreme heat and fire.
Oh wow! I haven't seen those. That's sounds relatively new.
It is relatively new. There's one or two companies that are making it. I can't tell you the one. I can't remember the company right now.
Okay.
But if those who search online, just search Pyramid Storm Shelter, and you'll be able to see a couple of companies that offer those services. They'll make it to your specs. They'll trailer it out to your property, drop it off, anchor it, and the storm is coming. You just run right into it, and you're good.
And do you think people are more aware of the need to prepare with like Sandy last year, and they see there was still, I saw a story today, there's one guy still living in his yard 10 months afterwards.
Exactly. One of the things that the reason why I wrote this book is because of Sandy. I have family up in the New York area, and I was communicating with them while I was on a cruise, actually, in Cozumel, Mexico,
mm-hmm.
where the storm was coming out that way, and it really shook the boat around. And I don't want to tell you how that affected me, but the whole situation is what got me started into writing the book itself. Now, there are people that don't understand when it comes to flood waters and stuff like that. You have to be really aware of water when it comes to storms. Most of the people get hurt from going through moving water, and the car gets taken and it goes into the big drink, and they don't know what to do when the car starts to fill up with water. They got their seatbelt on. What happens? So these are the things that people should be wary about when it comes to the storm, and how to be protecting themselves from that situation. And two, when it comes to when they're traveling and they're in the storm, so let's say the husband's at work, the wife is at home or at work, and you have the kids in school, what do you do? One of the things that I have in here is a worksheet on where people will be first. So if a tornado is coming down your area and your home or family is affected, where does everybody go? The power's out. You can't communicate. So you got to know where you're going to go first. So let's say you're going to go to your Uncle Anthony first, Uncle Johnny second, and so on. So this way, every family member knows where they're going to meet first.
Okay.
Then you have your ability, okay, let's say you have to evacuate. How do you evacuate with no food or whatever? So that's what the bug-out pack is for, to have a certain amount of food, usually canned food, water, ready to roll. You throw it in your trunk, and you keep it in your trunk in the car. And if you have to run and bail, you just go. Don't worry about nothing else, because everything can be replaced.
Right.
Now, speaking of replacing, today's technology, everyone has a computer with a scanner, a multi-unit scanner, fax, etc. Today's software allows you to be able to scan all your pictures, all your documents, you put them on a memory chip, and you leave. Nothing needs to rest behind. I mean, how many times do you see it on TV where the family lost all their family pictures and portraits and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff is replaceable. If you can't do it, there are people that will help clean up your photos, scan them for you, digitize them, and you have all your family's valuables.
Yeah, that all sounds like a great idea.
From protecting from your windows, you have specialty window film. Instead of putting all those heavy boards and stuff like that, most people don't want to do all that work, and maybe can't. But now they have kind of like a window tint film that has like strings of polyester strings in it, so this way any flying debris will not penetrate through the glass. So those are the little things you can do to protect your home from in the inside from debris flying in, by covering your windows with this film. Okay. It takes you a few minutes. You put it up, you splice, you cut it off, you splice it. You don't have to be perfect.
Yeah. And
it'll protect debris from coming through and hurting you. I mean, it's not going to be, if a truck flies through, it ain't going to help you there. But
right.
With the smaller things, it will. Items such as that are the ones. What about family and children? What do you do with medications? All these things, you really got to understand that when it comes to medications, there are companies now like Walgreens, CVS, etc. If you have an account with one, wherever you go, you can get a refill, and they'll help you with your medications, even if you don't have a refill. But if you were a part of a disaster zone, some of them will give you a few days' supply until you can get a prescription. All
right. Well, listen, Anthony, really good information. I've enjoyed it a lot. Anthony Kovic, the author of Emergency Preppiung, Simple Disaster Preparedness for the Modern Family. And is that available widespread?
Yes, it is available on Amazon. Just search Anthony Kovic, Emergency Preppiung, or anthonykovic.com, and that will take you to a lot of my products on the subjects, including emergency prepping.
All right. Anthony, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Anytime, John. Thank you.
All right. It's 321, 610 WTVN.
Right now, the Daily Deal